It may have been a 60-point blowout, and the game may have been against a team that was not even close to being at full strength in Florida State. But there were things to learn about Georgia in the Orange Bowl. There were definitely things that we weren't sure about. And guess what? Gunnar Stockton got to play a lot. He got to play the entire third quarter and some of the fourth quarter. Led 3 touchdown drives in the second half for Georgia. We talked about it last week. You know, Dean, Matt, and myself. We discussed the idea of seeing Gunnar Stockton in this Orange Bowl because we thought Georgia was going to blow out Florida State, and guess what? That is what happened. That was not a secret. The line was really, really big for a reason. I thought it was too small, actually. I think it ticked up to around 21 and a half points before kickoff. I think it should have been higher, really. So a lot of Georgia bettors cashed out there. But Gunnar Stockton comes in, a guy who 2022 class, he's a 4-star quarterback, was originally committed to South Carolina. He's a Rabun County kid, Northeast Georgia. Doesn't get more Northeast Georgia than that. Literally, it doesn't get more Northeast Georgia than that. That is the tip of the iceberg up there, bordering North Carolina. Breaks all sorts of records, right? Total yards record in Georgia. His passing yards record was broken this year by Aaron Philo of Prince Avenue. He was the heir apparent to Brock Vandrick, another guy that's really high up in the Georgia State records. We know that both of them, but yes, we know that Gunnar Stockton was a touchdown machine, a yards machine, and production machine for Rabun County. Had a very good career as a 4-year starter there for the Wildcats. Tigers? Wildcats? I forgot. I should know that. I should know Rabun County's mascot, but I'm blanking on it. Anyways, I've been watching him since his freshman year in high school, and I got to see him here and there throughout his high school career. Always left the field a little bit more impressed with Gunnar Stockton, but I do feel like I have some new opinions of him after this season. You know, we got to see him in limited action in a couple games in garbage time during September, and then you get to see him in a big way in the Orange Bowl. So let's talk about it. Ryan Curley from Dawg was talking about Gunnar Stockton. What do they have behind Carson Beck? What does Georgia have in its QB2? I'm going to sit here and try to give that to you after I give you this promotion with the newsletter that I'm linking down below. It's in the description. All you have to do is click on it, go in there, give us your email address, and we'll push out insider stories, free stories, every piece of Georgia content we could possibly give you in your inbox every single day. So please sign up for that newsletter. Be a 5-star Georgia fan, right? While I talk about this 4-star quarterback in Gunnar Stockton, former 4-star, right? As I said before in that 22 class. 6 for 10, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran around. What were his rushing stats? They were 7 for 46. And I counted 3 or 4 designed quarterback runs. I'd have to go back and watch every single snap to make sure that was 100% right, but at least 3 of those 7 runs were designed quarterback runs. Draw plays, right? Where he sits in the pocket for a second, hey, I'm going to throw the ball, takes off. They wanted him, Georgia showed us in the Orange Bowl that if Gunnar Stockton were to be the quarterback, that his legs would be a factor and that they would call plays for him to run, right? Just as they did with Stetson Bennett, right? That was the thing with Stetson. There were some design quarterback runs with him. Remember the national championship? I believe he had 2 of those, right? So Gunnar Stockton, what's the difference between those guys as runners? Gunnar Stockton's thicker. Gunnar Stockton, a little bit taller than Stetson, thicker than Stetson. This is a guy that can lower the shoulder on you. I remember watching him just lay out linebackers in high school. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I always wondered, what happens when it's against a college linebacker? What happens if it's against an SEC linebacker? Well, we finally get to see him run around a little bit, and albeit it's against Florida State's probably not completely first-string defense, right? Still out there lowering the shoulder, still out there getting positive yards, making an impact. You have to respect Gunnar Stockton's legs, and that's the benefit you get in having a dual-threat quarterback, and that's what Stockton is. Quiet kid, right, in the locker room. Wouldn't really say anything last night. I'm recording this on Sunday, the 31st. This will go out on Monday, the 1st. Happy New Year, by the way. Happy New Year. Hopefully your 2024, even if your 2023 was great, hopefully your 2024 was even better than 2023. Let's look to improve in all sorts of ways. We'll be improving here on Dawg Post for you every single day, hopefully as well. I thought, let me talk about the 2 negatives I thought with Gunnar. because I was mostly positive. But let's talk about the two things I'd say, hey, probably need to clean those up. And one of them is not as easy to clean up. I thought his release was a little slow, right, mechanics-wise. And, it gets compared. Carson Beck's got a quick one. So Carson Beck's got a gun, like a quick-firing gun. You come up with a name for that, whatever you want to call it, right? But I think he's kind of got a laser. Gunner's wind-up takes a little bit longer. It's a little bit more kind of rounded over the top, right, more vertical than Carson Beck's, in my opinion. And he, not afraid to make plays. There were a couple balls that were risky. There was one, the Marcus Leslie-Jack-Saint, that actually was really, really accurate, but risky. And if you're going to throw a guy a jump ball, Marcus Leslie-Jack-Saint is one of the guys you want to do it with on the Georgia football team. So not as big of a risk as if you were throwing to a smaller guy, but that one throw to Marcus Leslie-Jack-Saint, a little risky. He gets it in there just in time. You saw him get hit on that one throw he was trying to make, right? And that caused a fumble that ended up being recovered. Well, the Carson Beck one was covered by Georgia. Now I'm blanking on. See, in these games, man, sometimes I can't remember every single detail of the game. But you know what happened. Brock Vandrick, it was an incomplete pass. Now I remember. It was an incomplete pass because the ball went forward. But he got hit on a throw. And that happens. But part of that was because of a slower release. That's just my observation. I've seen quarterbacks that can get the ball out quicker. And I think, maybe you clean up the decision-making a little bit. And this is a serious dual-threat quarterback that I think that all of Dawg Post has felt can succeed at other places other than Georgia, but can also succeed at Georgia. And now those reps were extremely important. That environment was extremely important for Gunnar Stockton to play in, getting to play against guys that weren't his, right? Guys that don't know his every little move and things of that nature. Guys he doesn't practice against every single day. So this was important for his development. Leads 3 touchdown drives, throws 2 touchdown passes. Pretty touchdown pass to two nice balls, right? Lawson Lucky and Anthony Evans, backup guys, but guys that may make an impact in 2024, 2025, and beyond. And Gunnar Stockton will, likely be the QB2 next year. I'd be shocked if Ryan Puglisi came in and just beat him out for that QB2 spot. I think that would be a little bit shocking when you talk about Gunnar entering year 3 of the program. But this is a kid. Now you know a little bit. Hey, they can score touchdowns with this guy, right? They can move the ball down the field with this guy, especially against weaker teams. It'd be a different thing if they were playing Alabama or Texas or whatever, right? But now I don't know what you want to compare that version of Florida State to. It's tough. I think that version of Florida State's probably better than some of the cupcakes Georgia has played, but, seriously, that was not great. And it was embarrassing in different ways, and I do feel bad in a way for Florida State, and I don't feel bad in a way for Florida State, but that's not what this is about. This is about Gunnar Stockton. And so, look, injuries happen. And Georgia has had the injury bug pretty badly the last few years. When you think about some injuries being significant, some of them not. The thing is, Carson Beck could get hurt, right? All it takes is one hit, one miss. Something could happen to Carson Beck, or Carson Beck could be sick one weekend, right? And they feel like he's too sick to play football, or whatever happens. It's important that Gunnar Stockton had those reps because now he's been in that environment. It's not completely unfamiliar to him, and that you can move the ball with him, and that they have designed run plays with him. So that was something that I was very interested in seeing, was how do they use him? What is the emphasis? And having the 7 carries, I think showed us what we need to know. And the 7 is more than what it would have been if it was Stetson. So Gunnar, a guy that maybe wants to take off a little bit more than he should, but look, he's a guy that you want running the ball because he is a good runner of the ball. Let me pull this back up. I'm not going to count, but I do have Georgia football records pulled up, and he does pop up in the rushing records. So there is that. Rushing touchdowns, right? He might be the only quarterback on this list. He's one of the only quarterbacks on this list of rushing touchdown leaders in the state of Georgia, and he ended up with 77 over that 4-year career. Number 1 is with Sean Ely with 133, but there are not more than like 20 to 25 guys that are ahead of Gunnar Stockton in Georgia football history when it comes to rushing touchdowns. A dual threat quarterback to its T, and a Mike Bobo guy. I can't believe I failed to bring that up. Mike Bobo, this is one of Mike Bobo's guys, a guy that he recruited to South Carolina, had committed to South Carolina. There are deep roots there, and Now they're both at Georgia. And now we know a little bit more about what Gunnar Stockton brings to the table. Thanks for watching. Links are down below.